Welcome, everybody, to Stay Curious. I'm your host, Mark Marquette. So happy that you've joined us for a new week here, the last week of Rocktober, October 27th, 2025. We're at here.
October.
And sitting beside me
Nice.
is Ann Micklos.
Hi,
Yeah,
everybody.
Ann, hello, welcome.
Hi. Nice.
Yeah,
Thanks for
Rocktober. I'm a baby boomer,
Of course.
We're going out in the last week and having a lot of fun here. Ann is a great friend of our museum. She's a test project or thermal protection system expert, and we've been trying to get her on the program for a while. We have her beautiful artwork, show you this beautiful silhouette in our gift shop where you can come down and buy something.
Very
Okay,
nice.
that's a nice silhouette. You know what orbiter that one is?
That was
Or STS?
that was 130, and that was
Ah,
Endeavor going out to the launch pad.
Kay Hire was going to be riding that
There you
up with
go.
the cupola, right?
Yes, that was the cupola.
In there, and then
Yep.
then one of her favorite
There
selling
you go.
is one of the most beautiful pieces of art you've ever seen.
Very much so.
What are we looking at, Ann?
So we are looking at out of pad A on the 195-foot level, the bathroom.
Okay, that's a pretty good selling though
Yep,
for you, isn't
it
it?
is. And with
Yeah,
a token sign, close before launch. You know, how many
there you go.
bathrooms have that?
Exactly. And Ann's just stepped in here for a few minutes as we celebrate a couple astronaut birthdays that she's met probably somewhere down the line. And we're going to usher her off because she's going to meet our friend Mike Leinbach, launch director, as she and Mike are very good friends.
Yes.
And of course, Mike, the author with um, Jonathan Ward of Columbia, The Return Home, Bringing Columbia Home, the definitive book about the Columbia orbiter. And so, just great to have you here.
No, it's
And
wonderful finally
what
be
a
here.
day it's been for me as I am sweeping the floor this morning at 10 o'clock, and I look up and there's this gentleman, Don Thomas, came in. We warehouse a couple cases of books for him, and
Oh
he's
my
over to Space
gosh.
Coast so much, so he's always got books here, and he wanted a couple books. That's Matthew
Hmm.
Raj, who got an autographed copy, and Nathan
Okay.
Steele there, our front desk help from Career Source.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
yeah, and this is what I love about being involved with this
Hmm.
museum. Almost 9 years is that just we want to be a hangout for space
Hmm.
workers like you, who we think are national treasures, and our heroes, the astronauts there. So, do you know
Yeah.
Don?
I
You hang out
do
with him
not.
much?
I do not. I do not. I don't know Don. I mean, I may have met him once before, but just like you probably know him better than me.
Well, he is a Buckeye from Ohio like
Oh, there
me.
you
There's only
go.
360 American astronauts. I mean, it's sort of like, I always say, and it's like high school. You know, if you had a big high school class like I did,
Mhm.
you know, you didn't know everybody.
Right.
You know, you remember their names,
Mhm.
or I asked the smart girls, could I copy their homework or something like that, you know.
Right.
But yeah, it's a big community,
Mhm.
but it's a very tight community. Speak to that a little bit, being a space worker, and when you get together with other space workers, what's that feeling like? You and Leinbach getting together for dinner tonight.
Yeah, I think the best way to describe it, it's more unlike back when I was working Shuttle, it was unique because I was there on the Shuttle program for 26 years. And to be on a single job for 26 years nowadays is kind of
Oh,
more the
unheard of.
exception rather than the norm.
Not even
So,
thought about in these
yeah,
days.
yeah. So when you're fresh out of high or college and you're starting this great job, you kind of get, and you're working a lot of hours, you really get to know these people. When you're 23 years old, right out of college, these are the folks that you're kind of growing to your next growing up with, for lack of better words, and working that long with everybody through everything that we've done out the shuttle, they become family.
That's
They
right.
become family.
If
And
you're from our
it's,
generation, you know, you're a little bit younger than me, but yeah, there was a bond of wanting to work for the man, you know, for
mhm,
almost all your retirement.
sure.
I was in the newspaper business, just such a bonding experience
Hmm.
of all of us in a bullpen of typewriters and a dark room, and we
Right.
all wanted to be on the front page that
Age.
next morning, you know,
Yeah.
meaning you all had pride in your craft.
Hmm.
you knew that there was no. Well, I think Gunter Vent's book put it most beautifully: the
Mm-hmm.
unbroken chain.
Mm.
Right?
Right.
Everybody was part of a linkage chain, whether you were test project engineer, whether you were working on the thermal protection system, whether you were a administrative assistant. Everything had to work along the line, didn't it, Ann?
Oh, it did. I mean, it's kind of like an orchestra. I mean, if you're each instrument plays a certain part, but when you put it all together, which ours is not going to a concert, but a launch, everything has to work perfectly. So once again, it just takes a multitude of people to make that launch successful. And that's what we ended up taking pride in doing.
And a lot of companies have copied this NASA way, which was a lot of contractors,
Hmm.
you know, and from Apollo to through the end of the shuttle, it was a process that was never deviated
No,
from much at all.
no.
And we've got a lot of great people that watch Stay Curious every week. Rosalie Jubilee saying good day to us. We got Dave Stangy. She's local on Merritt Island. Dave Stangy's up in Michigan enjoying some fall foliage. Steve Jokums is one of our other great supporters. He's at the Lake County Spaceport
Oh,
in Fox Lake, Illinois.
well, there
You
you
didn't know there was a
go.
spaceport up there in
I
Lake
did
Michigan.
not.
He has a business that does decals for shuttles and
Oh,
other models because you
okay.
can't paint all those tiles
Hmm.
on a shuttle model. So he's got a decal for that and
How
other stuff.
cool is
And
that?
you may have met him at Shuttle Fest.
Okay.
Okay. And Freeway of Others saying hi. And Steve Jokins is saying the last toilet on Earth there for everybody, right?
We always said last
Uh,
stop.
and there's Chris Callie. He said the dynamic duo's back there. He's under the disguise of his wife's email there, Jackie. Uh, and yeah, pretty cool start of the day, Dave Stangy. And then I texted astronaut Mike Baker, happy birthday, because we're friends because we buy him a free meal every time he comes to town.
Well, hey, that's
So
pretty
we love
good.
bakes. And who else is there? Gary Gerald. He's a farmer up in Georgia. Tom
Hmm.
Usiak. I think you know Tom,
Music.
photographer with MarQ Usiak. Tom Celentano's up in Connecticut. Tommy's in Pennsylvania.
Oh, hi, Connecticut.
You're
Home state.
is that your home state?
Yeah.
Where's your mom up there?
She's in Fairfield.
Fairfield. There you
There
go,
you go. Yep.
Celentano. And Graville Mikos. That's not somebody you know, is it?
No, close.
Greetings
Yeah,
to
go
all.
all. Okay.
All right. Well, I'll chime in with a few more there, but we got a nice little community that uh, uh, Marty and I have grown this community over 5.5 years, and you've heard all about it. So we're glad that you're on here.
Well, thank
If
you.
you got a quick question to Ann about the thermal protection system, she promises to come back. And you want to do a program about what, Ann?
Oh, I was mentioning to Mark that would be very interesting to talk about our shuttle thermal protection system as compared to SpaceX's.
Okay.
The bakery versus what we had on shuttle. Yeah.
There you go. We'll love to talk about that.
Yeah.
We'll set that up here, look at the calendar, and get you in before you go up and see Mom over the holidays.
There you
I'm
go.
sure you're
Sounds
up
like a
there.
plan.
Very good. Well, let's have a couple birthday. There's I forgot to look up his birthday. I think it's in July. Don Thomas, a good guy. People remember him as being part of the STS-70, the Woodpecker crew.
Oh, yeah.
And his book is called Voyage of Discovery. He was on his flight on Discovery, but he had 3 other missions. He's just a great guy, and it's a great book. Happy birthday to Terry Hart, is 79 years old today, born October 27th, 1946 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. One of the pioneering shuttle astronauts, 41C. They were wearing the blue bag, is what Charlie Walker calls it now.
Okay.
You know Charlie pretty well, don't
Yeah.
you? And he was on the 11th mission overall, the 5th of Challenger, 7 days. That was Solar Max. I believe that was his one mission there. All right, but he was on support crews of 1, 2, 3, and 7 on there. And Rutgers University And happy birthday to Terry Hart there. There's another picture of him spreading the love out there like they all do. Uh, whether you were one mission or five or six, it's still all the same daringness, isn't it? There. So, you ever meet Terry? You know him at all?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
There's another picture of him with a Sojourner.
Mm.
What would he be doing? He became director of AT&T Satellite Network, and this is a picture of him at the engineering facility of Lehigh
Oh,
University.
there you go.
All right. So Terry Hart, hope you're enjoying your 79th birthday. And then a guy a little behind him there, but who's become a good friend of our museum and Marty and I personally, Mike Baker. Michael Allen Baker was born October 27th, 1953 in Memphis, but his family quickly moved to Lemoore, California, and he's a California kid. Twice a pilot on 43 and 52, and then twice a commander of America's shuttle fleet, 68, which was a radar space lab, and then he docked with the Mir space station in 1997 on STS-81. He's done a Stay Curious podcast with us. Terry looks nothing like that now. Okay. There he's looking, keeps his head smooth. There he is signing autographs. He's always out at the Kennedy Space Center. But he was at Star City as the director of operations for about 4 years, from 97 to 2001. And he's going to talk about that at Shuttle Fest 5.
Oh, fantastic.
There's Terry. Looking cool there with his nice trim, and there he is inside the commanding seat. That's what his signature looks like. Well, I got two pictures. I didn't put a picture of you, me, and Marty in there that I did on Facebook, but there he is. When he turned 70, he's 72 now. A couple years ago, we had Too Short there, Wendy Lawrence, and Nick Thomas, give him a happy birthday a couple years ago there.
Very nice.
So have a lot of fun with our astronauts there. And then a sad note, the astronaut who passed away was Steve Nagel. He was born on October 27th, 1946. He died in August 21st, 2014 at age 67 of melanoma. And he was married to, what an astronaut, really, Ann. He was a mission specialist on 41G, a pilot of 61A, and then he was commander of 37 and 55.
Okay.
All right. And that's a path a lot of pilots and commanders don't go. But born in Canton, Illinois, a lot of you know where that is. He and Linda Godwin were married for many years. They had two daughters. And I've talked to Linda a couple times. She's a nice lady, of course. And you always forget about that, married to an astronaut, and that he passed away of cancer. So, and that's just kind of where it brings us up here. I'm going to talk about the rest of the program here, a little bit about the moon, because the moon's first quarter.
Right.
All right. And who's going to be the next NASA administrator, as there's a political row about it going on. It was going to be Jared Isaacman, and President Trump pulled that nomination. And but Janet Petro was in control of NASA in this interim until she took another job, and the Treasury or Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, is assuming it right now. Got any opinion about the NASA administrator? You ever met any of them? They ever come over to ask you how you're sticking that tile on there, Ann?
You know, I mean, I remember, I've met several in the past, and you know, to me, they're overseeing everything, and they're very personable. And they are ones that they're connected with doing the best for what NASA is. And that's that's what you would expect an administrator to do, to put what the interest in NASA is and what the American I guess our destination will be, of course, with Artemis, and then making sure that those particular programs and goals are successful.
Being
Yeah.
a space worker,
Hmm.
do you have an opinion about that? Where America should go in the next 10 years, let's say? We're talking Artemis going to the moon,
Hmm.
but there's a lot of people criticizing the architecture of
Hmm.
that. Uh, what do you wish that the generation behind you takes to space?
I think when you look at when we started the Artemis program 10 years ago, we really didn't have, Shuttle was retiring, SpaceX was just beginning, and so was Blue Origin. So we didn't have a heavy lift rocket. So I understand NASA's reason now with coming up with Artemis. And 14 years have passed since we first retired Shuttle, and you now have a whole nother suite of commercial rockets that are, possibly capable of doing what Artemis is. So I think with any major goal, if you're going to go to Mars, you have to go to Moon first. It's not about can we get to the moon? We know we can, but if you're going to go on a camping trip, you don't want your first trip to be going to Mount Everest. In our case, Mars.
Good point. Great
So
analogy.
I
No.
look at it as let's go camping on the moon first, kind of get all the bugs, get our gear working and everything else, and then go to Mars.
Well,
My humble opinion.
that's just a little taste of somebody else's opinion that's well versed on the subject. And thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
I like that you brought up the heavy lift. That was a big thing. We were doing the Aries with Orion and did one dummy flight, and that was a single stick
Hmm.
solid rocket booster that worked well. But we needed more than
Yeah.
that. So, but good to that.
Yeah, good for Artemis, and but like I said, we things have changed again. So space is ever evolving. So I know that whatever the choice is, we'll get to Mars eventually. Who's rocket and how we're going to get there, well, time will tell. Time will tell.
Well, I know everybody is wants to have you back and can't wait for you to do a program on there.
Oh,
Let's
thank
see if
you.
anybody has a quick question for you. New Haven
Oh,
native is
all right.
Tom Celentano up there, and he's been. We had him on the show
Okay.
here. Dean Babcock says hi, uh, uh, and so RG Jubilee's got a question, Marty. Let's take her out with that so she can
Okay.
have a.
Well, she actually has two questions.
Uh-oh.
First one, she wants to know about the whale on your shirt. Does that
Oh,
mean anything?
no. It's a brand called Vineyard Vine. If you're from the Northeast, it's just a t-shirt brand. Not too
Okay.
common down here.
And the other question she has, do you think Elon Musk's Starship will be the first thing to go on the moon?
It's I don't think it's going to be neck and neck with Artemis. Um, Starship, it still has its learning curves, just like SpaceX did with Falcon 9. They're certainly getting better. They're understanding their challenges. They fix it, and this course last launch was very successful. Um, you know, I know that I don't believe it's Elon's um, goal to go to the moon, but if NASA provides funding, you never know what could happen.
Very good. Ann Micklos, our surprise guest today. She's going to go have a break bread with her friend and ours, Mike Leinbach. Tell Mike hi. And we have her pictures like this, some of her artwork here. And Dave Stangy's going to want to know, can he buy it and ship it to you? And we could figure that out
Oh,
for
for
you.
sure
She's
can.
got $47 on this one right there, okay? It's nice framed, ready to put on your wall
ready
there.
to
So,
ready to hang.
and just then the winner, the
Oh,
bathroom,
they got it in the
okay.
bathroom.
155th, 148. No,
Oh,
how high up is this?
what-
155.
it's the 155 level.
Yeah, the 155 level.
I'm sorry, 195.
She right,
195.
Marty?
Yeah, it was like the very top of the tower was
Yeah.
two
And thank you
255.
so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
I
She's
appreciate
gonna
it.
run
Thank
off so you
you.
can have a nice
All
meal with
righty.
Mike and Tell him I'll talk to him later.
Ciao.
Appreciate it. Ann Micklos, everybody. She's going off stage left here, and appreciate her. She will come back and do a great program with us. We've been things are finally working out that she's around here. We all know what being with our elderly parents is like, myself included. So be a good mom or be a good daughter and say hi to your mom up there in Connecticut.
I will do that.
All right, I'm gonna have the rest of the program be about the NASA administrator job. That not politics, not an opinion of this museum or my own. I am taking a NASA spaceflight website story written by Ryan Caton and Chris Bergen. Okay, and about this is a high stakes, very visible job in our country's structure of all that we have going on in Washington, D.C. But it's playing out. And here's what some of the background is, okay? As the acting NASA administrator is Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy, okay? And this is a meme that NASA spaceflight has up there. Talking about this high stakes contest for the next administrator. This is the person that's going to decide, are we going to the moon, we going to Mars, we going to the moon and Mars. We just going to forget putting humans in space and do robots only. That could happen, all right. So historically, each U.S. president appoints a NASA administrator to steer the agency through their term. President Barack Obama selected Charles Bolden for 8 years. Trump chose Jim Bridenstine in his first term, and Joe Biden appointed Bill Nelson for 8 years. But during his first term, President Trump took 458 days for Bridenstine to assume office, the longest NASA has ever operated without a permanent leader. Okay, but Trump moved faster in December, almost a year ago. His intent was to nominate Jared Isaacman, and we all know about him, two-time private astronaut, philanthropist, raised over $250 million for St. Jude's Children's Research during the Inspiration 4 trip to space with 3 others. But this billionaire Isaacman was pulled when somebody told Trump that Isaacman had contributed money to the Democratic Party in the past. Something that I believe President Trump used to be a Democrat, Marty, if I don't, if just to be fair to some of you Democrats pulling your hair out of there right now. And I'll take a few comments from y'all on there, but let's don't make this political. I'm making this fact finding that I didn't know Bridenstine took 458 days to be appointed in Trump's first term. Also, part of this is, and there's Sean Duffy right there, Transportation Secretary, but not very visible until he was given the task of also acting administrator of NASA. Let's say talking about going spaceships is a lot more interesting than talking about building roads, maybe. But he has enjoyed and been very vocal acting administrator. In fact, last week we mentioned on Stay Curious that he took on Elon Musk's Starship as not living up to the bill time-wise. It'll never be completed for 2024 landing on the moon, which they originally thought, or 2025 and probably even 2026. So he's opened up bids for a lunar lander, which puts Blue Origin's Blue Moon back in the spotlight there, and maybe someone else will come up with something. So this is some of the landscape. Among this, in other articles I wrote, is that Isaacman has endorsed Duffy, okay? And in fact, not only endorsed him, but took him on Isaacman flew Duffy in his MiG-29 jet fighter at a EAA Air Venture Oshkosh Air Show in July. Now, that's the biggest air show in America at Oshkosh. And so Duffy and Isaacman got in his MiG 28-29 jet fighter and flew around Wisconsin there a little bit. So that's pretty cool. All right. So, see you, Ann. Thank you. And several reports are Duffy's reluctant to relinquish the acting administrator role. Isaacman has laid in the weeds, not talking about this much at all. And therefore, he may have come back into light as far as Trump, okay, as being appointed again. But Elon Musk, who had a fallout with President Trump, has had some disparaging remarks for Sean, calling him a dummy, calling him, well, it's a quote, to quote Musk in this article that NASA Spaceflight wrote. Elon Musk has been vocal with his opposition of Duffy, calling him Sean Dummy, and saying, quote, the person responsible for America's space program can't have a 2-digit IQ, like I do, apparently, while clarifying he's not explicitly endorsing Isaacman, but seeks a 3-digit IQ leader. And that's just petty stuff on there. I mean, if Sean Duffy can run the transportation department, he can certainly run NASA in there. And Janet Petro, the former director of Kennedy Space Center, she was the acting director until they put Sean Duffy in there as a temporary acting a couple months ago. So what do you do? What do you do with all this politics, Marty? And I forgot to print out. I was going to give you a little history lesson. So that's where things land. And Neil 1030 says Musk responded to Duffy's opening bids with some childish insults, and that's not cool. A lot of the NASA old timers that I'm around, they believe that Starship will work given time, okay? But my God, you can't land something taller than it is wider on the moon until you figure out exactly where you're going. And it needs to have a splay of landing legs out there way past that. But guess what? If I'm saying that, SpaceX knows that. They're filled with engineers 10 times smarter than me. And that's the rub, is you see this, it doesn't look right, it's not sensible. What are they going to do about it? So one of the old timers told me today, they know things they're not telling you. Okay, they're not telling. SpaceX and Blue Origin are public traded. I don't know if they're public traded companies, but they're private companies that don't need to divulge everything. Okay, that's why NASA gave a lot of the intelligence data to private companies on the spy satellites, so they wouldn't have to reveal it in a non-disclosure agreement. No, they wouldn't have to reveal it in a public act of transparency there. So I was going to print these out, Marty, and didn't because we got busy. But I was going through some of the administrators that have been part of NASA over the years, and of course it started with the first one, Glennon. All right, and then I'm going to fail at that because I can't read them all. And I forgot to print them out. No, I didn't print them out over there. Or do I have any other copies? But we've had some acting directors and some main directors in there. Okay. Well, I can look at it this way, I'll bet. Yeah. I could read a little bit there that we had Hugh Dryden was after Keith Glennon, in case you didn't know that. And then James Webb was 7 years, okay, in the seat there. And he resigned when Nixon won the election in 1968. And Thomas Paine became, for a little over 2 years, the acting the administrator of NASA. George Lowe's on there. He was there for about 3/4 of a year. Then Jim Fletcher was NASA administrator for a total of 1,200 days, but that was over 2 separate terms he had there. But Fletcher was the administrator in the late 70s when we brought the shuttle online. Approval of it in 1972. Alan Lovelace, 49 days acting administrator. Robert Frosch had 1,300 days. Then Lovelace came back as acting administrator during the term change there. So let's get to the next slide and see some of the other administrators there. And I'll wait for that to change on my view here. So I didn't add up how many there were, but it's an important position that, hey, if the person who decides this is going to decide the future of what we're going to be doing, and there's a lot of things to decide, is they've got a new class of 10 astronauts, and really a spaceship, a place for them to go. Some of these astronauts, there's not even going to be the International Space Station up there when they're ready to go to space. So let's see, who else did I have up there as I'm going to that one? These are some good ones at the top up there, Marty. Who's at the very oh, I see what I did. Yeah, James Beggs, all right, had a tour of duty there for 4 years. And then William Graham was interim. Then Jim Fletcher came back from 86 to 89. Why did Jim Fletcher come back in May 1986? Simple. Get NASA back on track after the Challenger accident. He was one of our great administrators. Dale Meyer there with the eye patch, he was a temporary one. Richard Truly led for from May 89 to 92, 3 years. Then Dan Golden had the longest duration of all NASA administrators from 92 to 2001. Okay. Through a couple, and then that'd be a trivia. Daniel Mulville. Then Sean was a temporary administrator. Then Sean O'Keefe for 4 years. Fred Gregory became the administrator for 2 months over there. Then you had Michael Griffin for 4 years. All right, all these political appointments. And Michael Griffin, very smart, and Michael Griffin has taken on the Artemis as not being feasible over a year ago in front of a congressional mandate there. He was like in there. And then you have at the top, who's at the top, Marty? Oh, Christopher Scalise was a temporary, then Charlie Bolden for 8 years. Then you had Lightfoot, then Bridenstine, then a temporary guy, as I'm looking at my screen here, Steve Jerzik, in between the transition there, and then Bill Nelson. Okay. So this was taken before they would put Sean on there. So, all right, nobody's really saying too much about the whole thing, and that's okay, because I wanted to end it there. That go through the NASA administrators a little bit to give you a landscape that we've had temporary or acting administrators after every administrator, basically. And bring Jared Isaacman in there. He seems to be unbiased and level-headed, and he doesn't have an entire company in there, except he's leasing the spaceships for his Polaris Dawn space flight company, and he's not done the third mission that he was going to do. And one of those missions was going to be involved with Musk. I've heard Isaacman talk and say quite plainly that he likes what Musk is doing, that they're friends. He's given a lot of money to the development of the Starship and the big booster. And given time, yes, I'm sure that it will work just like it should. After all, the Falcon 9 failed 18 times to land properly. 18, 0 for 18, maybe it was even 0 for 19. I think it was 0 for 18, Musk on that Falcon 9, and the 19th one stuck. And guess what? They just celebrated the other day the 500th booster landing in the program. 500 booster landings, Marty, between the barges and the landing zones here to Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral. And That's just amazing. There's that many spent rocket boosters of Atlas and Aeginas and others out there in the Atlantic Ocean that we didn't bring back. So, all right, enough of that. Who's going to be the acting administrator? We do know one thing. Okay, this is an important decision. In the decision with President Trump, who has remained silent on the matter, is a decision of eminent and important outcome for the future of NASA. All right, to talk like an amateur astronomer to end today's program, the moon is 6.5 days old, Marty. 6.5 days old moon. To talk like an amateur astronomer, where would that moon be in the night sky?
Guessing south.
Be south, but it's in our evening sky. Everything to the right of the 14-day-old moon that's full, we will see after sunset. It'll be up there in the sky. Everything to the right of the full moon after sunset, you're going to have to wait until it gets dark to see it, and that's basically the late evening and morning skies. So the moon is going to be dead south, looking gorgeous, and using binoculars or that telescope, you're going to see some beautiful sights that I'm going to show you in a minute. But one sight you might see, and this is a full moon or close to full or an overexposed first quarter moon, where the fall weather is creating these inversion layers of warm air meeting cold air. We're going to see ice crystals around the moon in the form of a halo. And you see the halo around the moon there. Leaves are down. This is up in Tennessee. So check that out. It's a 22.5 degree radius, so 44 degrees across. And it's always like that, 45 degrees across, actually, at a 22.5 degree. And it's because of the size of the ice crystals in the upper atmosphere that make it that way. And if you just look at this shot of the moon in a couple days, this is about 12 days old, right before full moon. You notice the colorization there, different colors, look like a tannish up in the top and over the moon minerals do have colors, and this is a photograph taken by Dan Vrac. Dan Vrac used to watch our show all the time, Marty, VRAC, and I remember him sending me this picture, and I think you see some colorization there that he brought out with some special photography. So the moon will look something like this tonight as the Terminator. The line between night and day traverses across into the day, making this is morning along the edge, all right, of the Terminator. Nothing to do with Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? Our Terminator, we call on Earth twilight. That's what the Terminator is, difference between daylight and night. And so you have an evening and a morning twilight. And along this is where you see gorgeous, gorgeous shadows that bring out the detail. And you can see this tonight, some beautiful features on the moon, including the Alpine Valley is going through the mountains, the Apennine Mountains. It's 100 miles long. Okay. You see a mile high Mount Piton sticking up a mile. But this is a mountain like the other mountains that you see curved there that was buried by lava flow 3 billion years ago on the moon. And then Aristillus and Archimedes craters hit that frozen lava once it froze up. And there's the Apollo 15 landing site of Mount Hadley, as you see I noted there, in the sea, between the Sea of Serenity and the Mare Imbrium, the ocean of Mare Imbrium Imbrium means rainbows, okay, and this is where we're going to land on the moon, way, way south, even at the very tippy-tip bottom, where those craters don't get any sunlight. So there's frozen water there at the South Pole, ice, okay. And you got Magnus is 140-mile wide crater right there. And there's another one, Deladris there, 140 miles. some different craters that you see named there on the right. All right. Everything on the moon has a name. Okay. Philosophers, scientists, uh, people of all, mostly Europeans. So I implore you to, if you don't want to photograph the moon like I did in these photos here and labeled them, no one owns the original. Maybe make a sketch of Plato there and the mountains rising as you see on the floor of Plato, the philosopher. It's a smooth plane there, and it's so cool to watch the shadows of those mountains diminish there. And then here's the Rita Valley. I did this in 1989, a long time ago. I've done a lot of recent sketches, but I haven't copied them. But this is with a small telescope, and this is how I saw the moon, and I'm saying kind of what the moon phase was. It was a very thin crescent, and this is called the Rita Valley, okay, in there. Fun to do, make sketches, and then go inside and finish your sketches. No one owns the original, all right? Make a poem, make a short story, draw a sketch, a painting, whatever about the moon. But we do suffer from sky grief, noctalgia, where the closer you are to the suburban area or a big city, you're not going to see the Milky Way or many stars, but it doesn't affect the moon or the planet. So the moon and the planets are always there to enjoy. All right. And there's an app for that. Okay. Here's some of the names out there that you can, or the icons of apps that you have out there. NASA app, different Skywalk, I think this one's called. But you just go to your app provider of your phone and just put in a sky map. And it's cool because you can hold it up and it'll show you the mythological creature that that's supposed to be. Like that W is Cassiopeia the Queen, and that is visible in the sky right now. So look up, get the kids out, get away from that TV for an hour or so. You won't regret it. If you got a telescope, put it on low power, which is the lowest eyepiece. You want that 25 millimeter eyepiece in there, not the, you want the high number eyepiece, is what I'm trying to say. You want the 25 millimeter, not the 9 millimeter or the 6 millimeter. That's too much power to find anything with. 25 is what you put in. That's low power, like about 80. But you look at binoculars, download a sky map, have some fun with it, okay? And like I said, get a little moonlight and starlight this weekend as you're looking up at the skies. So thanks again for Don Thomas popping in today and saying hi to our staff here, Raj and Nathan. And we hope that we can see you in our museum. And thank you to Ann Micklos for popping in and sharing a little bit about her job as a tile engineer. All right. We'll have Ann on this month. I guarantee it, since she's in town. So I'm looking at the comments there. You've got the Skyview app, Dean. That's good. And thank you for the compliment there, Rosalie. I just am an amateur sketch person, and just something I've always liked to do. So, and thank you all for my update, not making it political, my update of the NASA administrator, because it is political and we know it, but who's ever chosen has to have some great people around them advising them of the NASA's future. So we hope to have it that way. Tomorrow, I have a guest on the show. The guest is Steve Agnett's going to be on the program tomorrow. Steve's going to talk about a couple of those Apollo alarms as we go into November and we start celebrating Apollo 12. Wednesday, I have got a history lesson with Bob Grenath. Okay, you guys love the public affairs officer, Bob, and he's going to share some things you might think you know that you don't know, okay, about space travel and people associated with it. And then Bert Dick will be here Thursday as part of the National Space Society support of the American Space Museum. We'll look forward to having Bert here. He's the one that travels all over doing cool things, and there's another NSS conference in Orlando next week he'll tell us all about. So great start to the week here. I got nothing done that I wanted to do. That is always a good thing, as I'm always willing to talk to anyone that wants to talk about space at any time here at our museum. And maybe that will be you one day, as I'm Mark Marquette saying, I can't wait to talk space with you one day and bridge the space between us. Thank you so much. Stay curious.